Hello! With the last DLC we get a new toy, a new tool in Hearts of Iron, an aircraft designer, and and I explain how it worked. The first option or item to choose is which airframe I want, and I have four options. Yes, four. The small airframe, the carrier airframe, the medium airframe, and the large airframe, improved or basics. All all airframes have different tags, but the construction works similar. Let's build our first plane. We need a fighter because we are Great Britain and we are afraid to get bombed by some countries in the air. First, the main armament decides which role the plane has. For example, if I put a fighter weapon, machine guns, then it's a fighter. If I put bombs on it, it's a close air support. If I put I show in the next video is where in the tech tree all these tags are, because they are all over the tree, all over the different slots. Yes, but I show where you find them. If you put torpedoes on it, it's a navy bomber. That's the first thing to choose, but you can, for example, machine guns, it's a fighter, and you can also put a bomb lock on it. Then it's able to fly air superiority, shoot down any planes, defend the homeland, and drop bombs on the damn panzers. If you hover over this, you see the stats change a little bit. That's very important because this plane only carry bombs if they want to drop them on something. They don't fly around all the time with bombs. That's good in one point because you have still the high agility without bombs. And if you want to bomb something, yes, then you have the bombs. But you can't, for example, you can't give your fighter two missions because it can fly air superiority or it can fly close air support. It can't do both. That's very important. But for example, I made a Great Britain Let's Play on my German channel, and they shoot down all the Luftwaffe, and then it's useful to get some fighter bombers because they can support the ground troops. Or for example, you can fighter and torpedoes. I don't know how this works if you use them on the carrier. That would be interesting. If in the air battle, if they shoot down enemy fighters and then bomb the enemy ships, I don't. That needs some testing. Or you can build it as multi-role fighter bomber and use it to defend the carrier in air fights, bomb enemy ships, and bomb enemy ground targets. So there's some ideas. You see this yellow thing. That's a problem with the plane because the plane is to have a weight and thrust. And this plane, if you hover over this, it's too it have not enough thrust. That's the problem with this plane. When Navy strikes, yes, 17 is too much because if they only attack ground targets, that's fine. Then they only carry the bomb. If they strike Navy targets, then they carry the bomb and the torpedo and the bomb, and then they're too heavy. So you need a bigger engine on this plane. Yes, and now it works again. That's the basics. In my short experience, you need for a fighter plane, it's good to have a lot of machine guns. Don't carry a lot of machine guns and some air defense. You get some air defense, for example, armor plating, and some air defense with the self-sealing fuel tanks. That's a little bit of a misconception. Sheets of XP. That some planes in the Second World War were very heavy armored and have armor plates all over. No, never. No plane have this. In most planes they armored a little bit the pilot seat, because if they attack from behind, that's useful. And the self-sealing fuel tanks mean the problem with fuel is if the tank is empty, then the gas, some of the fuel vaporize and get a gas, and that's very explosive, and then the plane, if there's ignited, then the plane goes down. The self-sealing is kind of balloon in the fuel tank, and this balloon compresses the fuel in the fuel tank so that it don't vaporize, and then it can't explode. That's the idea behind the self-sealing fuel tanks. And of course, if the fuel is in this bubble, then it's not all over in the fuel tank, and if they should hit some other parts where no fuel is, then they don't lose fuel. So, in my opinion, this is the first, or in my first tries, this is the first best idea for a fighter. Of course, no Navy fighter. Another thing, what you can also build bigger planes. You can also build them, the heavy fighters, for example. But I don't think they are very useful. Don't try them a lot, but I don't think it's work. That's better as a bomber. And you get a bomb bay. And the bomb bay is fixed in the plane. It don't depend on which mission he get. It always have, of course, the bomb plane. The bomb plane. The bomb plane have a bomb plane. Yes, the bomb plane have a bomb bay. And then you can build some other stuff on it. Extra bombs or recon equipment, and you can use it in peacetime to spy on the enemy, and in wartime to bomb the enemy, for example. Or you can mine the mine laying equipment. Another extras are not the electronics, that come later. For example, the floating plane. Then it needs torpedoes. If is a Navy bomber, a Navy bombing capable airplane, and it have the then it can make this Navy patrol mission, help your fleet to find enemy ships, but it don't attack it. If you put this if you make a float plane out of this plane, it get a bonus on this mission. Surface detection, subject detection, so it can attack enemy submarines and help your fleet to attack ships and submarines. Bombs, only bombs. So now you can save the plane because it's again, it's too heavy. You need more better engines. Can it? So now it works. You can also give a special assignment. For example, this is my night bomber, and then you can put some only night equipment on it plane. For example, ground radar and radio navigation, because you want to bomb enemy factories at night. Idea, you can do this. If on the other side you can make a night fighter, to destroy enemy bombers, you need a high air attack, and then because then you need, for example, cannons or something like that. And because the enemy bombers are not slow, you don't need this much agility. So, for example, build a big plane like this. If you don't need to defend the Reich against these British bombers, you can destroy the enemy logistics. You can do a little bit ground support with this plane, but it's very good to shoot down enemy planes. And then you can use for example, the air-to-air radar for interception missions, and then it's a night plane, for example. Or if you build a special so this bomber, for example, is not very capable by bombing ground targets, but it's very good in attacking, in destroying ships. We can give a special symbol for this, and then you can build a special Navy air wing who got only this model of float plane, for example. No. Well, don't care. Nice color. And this is your special Navy plane. Then you can assign, give you this tag that only these special Navy planes come in this air wing and not all other planes, for example. Or let's try to design a big bomber. This can also be a big Navy bomber or a strategic bomber. And then you need a lot of large bomb bays. Bombers I often use in reconnaissance. Don't know if these are really useful. You need, of course, a lot of engines. And this plane needs a lot of air defense, a lot of armor, and a lot of turrets, for example. Can't really move, but it can't shoot back very hard. Let's build a small close air support. Choose cars. You also can if you fly the cars mission, you get the bombs, but there also the gun, and this is fixed on the plane. Don't care which mission. Always have this gun, but the gun do a lot of damage on ground targets. And you can also put the gun 1, the gun 2, I don't know why, but you can do it. And nice close air support weapons, rockets, because they add a lot of ground support, a lot of ground fire, and don't cost much in form of agility. For small planes, you could also put a rocket engine in the plane, but you've no range. I don't know if it's useful. The Germans built something in the very late war. They called it the Comet or the Kraftei, the power egg, because it looked like an egg. It was it used two kinds of fuel, and they are high. If they come together, they explode. It wasn't a very reliable idea. What's that? One engine. Now it works again. Could also the Stuka have some light turrets, for example, and you have these air brakes for air defense and navy targeting. That's useful because then you hit the ships better. And some armor plating. That's very expensive but very deadly close air support. Yes, for air defense, for example, and it's a little bit survivable in enemy airspace. To kill everything. Yes, that's how the air designer work. Next time, where are all the techs and where I get this gun, where I get the mine clearing coil and the electronics and the rockets. Yes.